Hey, movie fans! Wanted to talk to everybody about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now that it's been out for over a week, yes, I had the chance to go see it again, so I saw it twice. That's right. And yeah, I'm excited to share some things with you. I will try to keep the spoilers as minimal as possible so that it won't ruin anything for anybody who hasn't had a chance to see it yet. But might do a little bit more than last time just to kind of help give more context and explain things that way. So, but yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. What do I have to say about it? Well, first of all, I have to say I really liked it, and I liked it even more the second time. Like I totally did enjoy it the first time and had a great experience with it. I felt like as it was so story heavy that maybe the pacing hurt a little bit. And watching it the first time through, I kind of felt like it got kind of slow sometimes. Maybe not as slow as to say that it would drag, but maybe felt a little bit slow in some spots. But I didn't feel that the second time at all. Like, not at all. And totally had a great experience with it that way the second time. Also, watching it a second time, I just noticed how funny it was. Like, I'm sure I laughed and had a great time with it the first time, but second time I was just like, this is funny, and just there was so much funny going on here, there, and throughout the whole movie, no matter what realm we were in. And that was cool. That was awesome. I really liked seeing Cassie kind of take on some of her dad's humor. Like, it was cool that that was part of her character, in which, she still is very much her own person, but I thought that was kind of a cool thing that rubbed off on her a little bit from her dad.
Okay, I have a suit.
Yeah, I noticed. You okay?
Yes.
Look, momentum, right? Jump, tap, right? One move, jump, tap.
I know how to do it, Dad.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Really? Because it didn't look like it from my end.
I messed up on the timing.
Jump! Ah. Like that. You see what I did? You see what I did?
No, you're like this small.
I jumped and tapped.
There are just a lot of interesting things with this movie. This one is just such a different movie than the first two installments of Ant-Man and then Ant-Man and the Wasp, in that it's in the quantum realm for like basically the entire movie. Like a little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end when they're not in the quantum realm, and then just like majority of the movie without those bookends. Like, it's the majority of the movie's in the quantum realm. So that's why I described it as being very sci-fi, and I still hold to that. It's totally sci-fi. Like, if Multiverse of Madness is a MCU horror movie, then Quantumania is a sci-fi movie, which we've had that in other MCU movies as well too, but definitely in this one, big time there. But very different than the first two Ant-Man movies, which weren't as much of a sci-fi movie,
You're an Avenger. Have I killed you before?
What?
They all blur together after a while. You're not the one with the hammer.
It's Thor. We get confused a lot. Similar body types. Who are you?
Just a man who's lost a lot of time. Like you.
You do miss some of the characters that we had in Ant-Man and in Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's got his little like group of friends, kind of an eclectic gathering of people that they're all working together and do stuff. And Michael Pena is just so funny. So do we miss having him in this movie? Yeah, for sure. But was it okay not to try to force him in there just to keep him in the movie? Yeah, like that's not the direction this movie went. So it totally made sense. Do I hope we'll still get to see him again? Yeah, for sure. Because love the character and love the group dialogue that you get, that group banter with that group in Ant-Man and in Ant-Man and the Wasp. They did such a good job in both those movies with that. Not here in Quantumania, but cool that they felt like they could go this direction and not have to just repeat what worked before. So interesting. So what worked before? Well, what worked here? I don't know. Reviews are kind of mixed on this one. 83% from the audience, which is still that's decent. That's a good score to be up there in the 80s. That means people still had fun with it, still enjoying it. I would imagine a lot of the audience are MCU fans, and being MCU fans kind of plays in with how this movie experience would go for you. Having watched the Disney Plus series Loki, I think is important to getting more out of the movie. I don't know that it's essential, but you're going to get stuff about timelines and variants, and that's where that kind of all got talked about in depth. We saw it in Avengers Endgame, where the Hulk was having that conversation with the Ancient One, and they talked about the timeline and having branches in the timeline and that kind of a thing. And, you know, that really comes into play in Quantumania, especially with the character Kang. But the TV show Loki, the Disney Plus series, really gets to go in depth on that. So we know about Kang, and we know about timelines, and we know about variants. So some of these things are helped by having had watched Loki. And if you stayed for the tag scene, you can see that tying into future Loki experience. Sorry, a little bit of a spoiler there. So make sure to check that out. But there you go. Yeah, good times with that. What do we see here, though, with the critics? Well, it's at a 48%. That is the second lowest critic rating of any MCU movie. Eternals being the lowest at 47. So it's barely, like maybe an ant above that. So yeah, that's not being well received there. Part of that could be maybe because, yeah, it needs the MCU to really make sense. But also it's just such an important story for the MCU with Kang. Like, such an important story for that. There's this great part at the end of the movie, so I don't want to go into details, but those of you who've seen it will know, where Ant-Man's feeling really good, and he's just, like, thinking things through, and then he's just like, but wait, and then what about... And it's just kind of like this eerie, haunting thing. I mean, not the exact same feel you got, you know, when the snap happened and people started disappearing, or how the Ant-Man and the Wasp left you with that, you know, like the disappearing happening there. Like, it wasn't just like that, but at the same time, there was that little bit of, like, foreboding, haunting, sense of discomfort of, oh no, like, what else is going to happen? So this movie is important for the future of MCU and the whole storyline and Kang and what's going to happen with all that and there. So yeah. I don't know if the critics were bought into that, or if, you know, like, this as a standalone movie in their eyes is strong enough to get a higher rating than a 48%. So that's where it sits, and that might be part of why. But also another reason, I think, in my opinion, could be just the freedom that the movie makers have had, you know? When these movies start out, like, it seems like you got to keep it pretty strict at what you can do and where you can go with things, but as time has gone on, like, the book is just being open, and you can pull in this, and you can pull in that, and you can pull in all kinds of things that, you know, in the past would have been, like, way too weird to put in a movie. But now, hey, it worked before. It worked. I mean, they made Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, with the talking raccoon and a walking around fighting hominid tree. You know, like, they've done those things and it's worked. So let's keep going. And so, I mean, some of that just kind of gets opened up that way, which is interesting and fun, especially for comic book lovers. But yeah, I enjoyed it. But just trying to maybe see why critics have it so low. I don't know. That's just a thought. But yeah, I thought this movie was a really good movie. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I totally enjoyed watching it. I thought it was really cool in the second movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp, how it was a movie about Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? Meaning Paul Rudd's Ant-Man and Evangeline Lilly's Ant-Man. But at the same time, it was a movie about Michael Douglas's Ant-Man and Michelle Pfeiffer's Wasp. You know? Like, that was really cool. And it was kind of later in this movie that I realized, like, oh, it's still an Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. And so it's cool that, you know, the parents, Ant-Man and the Wasp, are still such a significant part of it. Michelle Pfeiffer, of course, is a huge role in this movie, and she is awesome. Michelle Pfeiffer does such a great job. And then Michael Douglas, you know, like, he's what made all this happen originally anyways, you know, like, all the Ant-Man, all the PIM technology is because of him. So it's pretty cool that they're such a big part of it still. So loved that. And yeah, thought it was a great movie. So glad that I got to see it twice, and we'll be watching it again. I like Ant-Man. I think he's just a fun character, and I loved getting to have more of it, and I thought this movie did a good job with it. One character that I've heard some people didn't love, which the trailers showed us an image of him, so I knew he was going to be in it, is MODOK, and what was done with this character. I'll let you go and see that and see what you think of it for yourself. But my opinion, I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. I thought it was fun. And I liked how they did it. Like MODOK, like such a known character in the comic book Marvel Universe. Like I thought it's so great to bring him in. I thought a great way to bring him in that would fit and would make sense. And awesome to have him in the movie and along for the ride. So anyways, I don't want to say more than that, but you'll have to just go check it out. Thanks for checking this out, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe out there. Definitely don't text and drive. It's not safe. Have a good one.